This documentary was filmed and produced on the traditional unceded territories of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, I'm holding a card with a dot in front of me. There's another side to this card for sure, and the dot it has all number 4. There's a different side to this card you see, and the dot it has all number 3. If you think that's wild, then you're really flipped. When you see the 4 sides, I'll show in 6. If you didn't catch what happened, then I'll show you quick. A 4-sided card, 1, 4, 3, 6. Now, those of you who aren't real sick and haven't figured out how I do this trick, I'll show you now just how it's done. Before we get down and have some real fun. When I hold it like so, then the space you don't see, then the dots on this side appear as 3. So when I go like so with my fingers and my thumb, then the dot by itself looks like only 1. And the other side just goes like this. When I hold it like so, it looks like 6. When I cover one side, then go like this, then the dots on this side still look like 6. Let's flip this over, then you will see that the dots on this side add up to 3. If you think it's over and it's really great, then it'll really blow your mind when I show you there's 8.
At the end of the 80s, I had left the government and continued to pursue my career. I still loved doing magic shows and having fun with that. One of my favorite things was a routine called the dot rap. It was the first time ever I got to kind of sing on stage because I don't have a singing voice. And the music was written by George Leger III. Him and I were talking about the dot rap, and he put some music to it.
The first thing I ever did for Steve that I remember doing was the dot rap, which is a piece of magic that he does with a card, and he flips the cards around and all the dots change on the cards. But anyway, it's called the dot rap, and Steve came up with the rap and I came up with the music for it.
And I was trying to do some shows, but not a lot of big shows were coming out of it. I wasn't getting a lot of gigs. I wasn't sure about how to literally promote myself, but still was trying to pursue my career as a magician, only as a magician. I thought that's all I would ever be able to do to get myself in front of people. Until a pure fluke chance opened up a whole new world of ability for me to entertain people. Something I would have never expected, and something that I had never ever thought of myself doing.
And he has tenacity, and he never gives up. I mean, that's an amazing thing about Steve, and something that I admire, and what's kept him going. And hey, look, right now we're talking about Steve in a documentary. That's a pretty big deal. He's had many, many successes, and if he just gave up after not getting the results that he wanted from one thing, then we wouldn't be here today. And it's a good thing that he has that quality about him.
It was a real fluke story, and I remember I was planning to go to my mother's house for a family dinner, Passover dinner, I believe. And I was getting ready to go out the door, and I was thinking, I want to wear I had this earring. I had this little crystal earring with a unicorn on it, because I thought unicorns would bring luck. In that case, I guess it kind of did. Now, what's interesting about this is, had I left at the moment I was planning to walk out the door and not stayed another 5 or 10 minutes, I would not have had that chance encounter with a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a long time, who I just literally bumped into just as I walked out the door. Well, this friend invited me that night after my dinner if I would like to join him downtown at a club that a friend of theirs was opening up. And I said, sure, yeah, let's go, for sure, And we were there, having fun, and the DJ, her friend, came down to the table and was talking to her and said, would you like to be a DJ? And she goes, of course, no, that's not, that's definitely not anything she had any interest in doing anything like that. And then when he went back to his DJ booth, I asked her, I said, is he serious? Is he looking for a DJ? And immediately I'm thinking, I could probably do that. I'd always used music in my magic shows, and I had a good knowledge of a lot of music, specifically rock music. They had me come down the next day, and I was nervous, but I just went for it. But here, the thing about it was I was about to be talking to people and doing stuff that had nothing to do with magic, that had just one-on-one interaction with the people that would be there, and start playing the tunes and making some comments over the microphone. It turned out they really liked how my voice sounded, and I was playing the right tunes, and I was hired on the spot. And that just suddenly was a whole new career direction for me. And I had no idea where that door was going to lead me to. The booth was right above the dance floor, you know, like about 5 feet above the dance floor, and you know, had like this long rectangular window that looked out, no glass, but just a window looking down onto the floor. So there was my audience, and instead of my magic, it was my records that I was playing, the tunes that we had there, and I was able to piece the tunes together so I could build up the excitement, and then, you know, do the wave of excitement from exciting fun music to slow romantic music back up and stuff. And I found, I guess I had a hidden talent for knowing what would get the crowd going and what wouldn't work.
I remember one time we were playing, and just before we were going to finish, somebody came up and said, "Hey, are you going to do Paradise by the Dashboard Light?" And I was like, "Sorry, we don't actually do that song." She goes, "No, not you, the DJ, Dr. Strange. Is he?" I'm like, "What? Yeah." So I hadn't seen it yet. So sure enough, he comes out, and just where he gets to that part where they go, "Stop right there," he comes out. He's got these puppets, right, and he acts out this whole piece in that song with these puppets. Just amazing. Everyone in the club is glued, watching, right? Loves it, big cheers. I'm thinking, oh man, we're actually competing with the puppet show. I mean, I think that's a joke from Spinal Tap, right? Where they opened up for a puppet show.
So to me, it was a whole new kind of excitement that I had never felt before. As it went on, they decided to start having live bands there, and ultimately they had a live band there that became the house band, one of the most popular house bands or bar bands in the Lower Mainland at the time, a band called Faith and Desire. They were the house band, and together with them, we had some of the greatest times there.
Well, when we first came to the club, the first thing that we noticed is it was a small club, probably about, I don't think it held more than 200 people legally, and it was just a small place down in Gastown, underground, but it was a really tight knit. The staff was really tight knit, and then there was this DJ who, you know, I used to joke and say he was more of a PJ, like he's more of a performance jockey, right? Because, you know, like I said, I've spent many years in bars and worked with tons of different people, and Steve, he wasn't like the regular DJ. He would come out on stage during our breaks and do performances. I mean,
The next venture of my journey happened when I moved into Richmond. I moved in a house with some friends of mine, and they took me to a club literally the first night I had moved in called Baker Street. I right away went up to the DJ and I said, "Hey, do you have any, I've been DJing downtown, are you looking for an extra DJ to fill some of the quieter nights?" Because I really wanted to work as much as possible. I loved it. I loved being a DJ because it had me in front of people. It had me being able to do whatever I wanted to, play music, make jokes, have some fun.
But it was that kind of thing. He was always coming out, you know, with his air guitar that was shooting flames, or, you know, game shows that he did. Just, you know, he took it to a different level where he wanted the crowd to be in on the party, and he did it really well. So yeah.
And Steve has had a great knack at doing that. You know, that's, you know, one of the things, like I've always loved watching him perform, because you just feel the enthusiasm and the excitement when he's on stage, and he's funny. He's got all those good things as well.
And right away he said, "Yeah, we're definitely looking for a new DJ." Gave me a couple nights, started working there, and literally about a month after that, the guy who was the main DJ decided he wanted to give up DJ work, and boom, I was suddenly given the whole week of shifts, as much as I wanted. The way my name changed from the Master of Fantasy to Dr. Strange was I knew that the Master of Fantasy, my magician's title, was not working as a DJ. "Hey, I'm the Master of Fantasy. Welcome, I'm going to spin you some tunes." It just didn't work. And in my DJ booth, which at Baker Street, I kind of put up my own decor. I literally had a poster of Doctor Strange, of the comic book character, because I read comics and I had been reading Doctor Strange. And I remember looking at the poster and thinking, you know, I remember when the idea came to me is that, well, his name is Dr. Stephen Strange. Well, my name is Stephen, his name is Stephen. He's a sorcerer, I'm a magician. I've always been called Strange. Always been called Strange. I don't know, maybe my personality. And it just hit me. I said, I'll be Dr. Strange. Not that Dr. Strange, I actually spelt it D-O-K-T-O-R. And it was my name, not my title. I was Dr. Strange. And I literally changed my name on Halloween, if I'm not mistaken, 1991. Halloween 19, we had a big party, and I remember doing a big show there. And literally on the poster is when the Master of Fantasy becomes Doctor Strange. And I maintained that name for years to come, mostly as a DJ name, but I also started using it as a magician's name. So I took on this job, and I was working 5, 6, 7 days a week there, being the DJ. And I was definitely having a blast there. And one of the more exciting parts of working at that club in particular, is they were having comedy nights.
One of my memories was that he would work at Kelsey's Bar, and he was introducing comedy acts, and he would call me up and saying, hey, tomorrow night you got to come see this comic. He's really good, or she's really good. So he would kind of vet them for me, and I would see him at that club or bar doing his thing.
Every Sunday night was comedy night, where they would have professional comedians being brought in, a headliner and a couple of backups. And that was my introduction to becoming an MC. I mean, although I was a DJ and stuff, I wasn't really an MC where I'd be up in front of the audience and talking to them and then getting ready to introduce acts. And I getting into that job, suddenly doing that, again, same kind of rush that I had when I first became a DJ, realizing I could do something on stage that didn't need my magic props to get me up there. And I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing that.
Steve's humor, let's see, what can I say about that? It's more like, yes, he's obviously a funny guy, but it's his energy. I don't know how to explain it other than his energy is very contagious. And it's sincere, right? You know he's he's loving what he's doing, and that comes off. And I think that's a big part of what kind of sells people, right? Because people these days, especially these days, they have a better sense of when somebody's genuine versus somebody's just trying to hype them. And I always saw Stephen as somebody who's very genuine. Like, you could tell he just loved it.
I'm a music guy, so I really enjoyed going and seeing him do that. And he was actually pretty successful doing that. He did it for, I don't even know how long. But it was great. He's a perfect MC. Perfect. He's so fast and funny that, he gets the crowd going and everybody's enjoying themselves every time. I mean, I would look forward to going to see him on Sunday nights.
And in order to keep the evening going, like, the comedians would usually go on from 8 to about 9:30. And of course, the club really would like to have people stay all the way until closing, which I think on Sunday nights was like 11. I started doing something, a little program. I just started doing a thing called Make Me Laugh, where I would get audience members to come up and tell a joke and whatever, and whoever got the crowd laughing the most would win a swag prize or something like that. Actually, I started working as the DJ, if I go back in time, at Notorious, and to fill more days, I ended up, again, by a pure fluke, got offered a job as a DJ during the days at an exotic bar downtown as well, because I think somebody had come into Notorious one night and asked if I ever wanted to do that. I said, sure. Again, it was more work, and I was happy to get as much of an income as I could at the time.
My memory of Steve becoming a DJ is that the first thing that happened was he ended up becoming a strip club DJ, which struck me as pretty much the ultimate Steve Kaplan job. I thought, wow, if the Steve I knew in high school could have gone, what would I like to do in the world besides be the world's most famous magician? I think strip club DJ would be right freaking up there. And again, most DJs in clubs, pretty boring. Steve's many things. Steve is never boring. Steve is never boring when you put a microphone in his freaking hand. You put a microphone in his hand, and Steve's gonna own that microphone, Steve's gonna own that room.
And so I took a job as an exotic DJ at that time, and I had a lot of friends laugh at me thinking, oh, this is great, you're gonna love working in things. And it's, you know, nothing wrong with it, but I found it was boring because for myself, I had never gone to exotic bars before. I wasn't even familiar with them. I didn't really even go to nightclubs. I don't drink alcohol, and I was just not a nightclub person or even an exotic bar person. I remember, I think this was just before my daughter was born, so this would have been 93, I guess, in 1993. I needed more work. I was still working at Baker Street, but I liked doing it, and I remember coming across an ad, and I think it was in one of the local Richmond newspapers about a mobile company looking for DJs. And I knew mobile DJs did, you know, all kinds of fun events, and that was something, you know, that could be a lot of fun. So I reached out, and it was a company called Hot Wax Mobile Music. And the guys who owned it was a guy named Elliot Kipnis.
Hot Wax Entertainment is a full-service, full-time DJ company, AV equipment, lighting. We do music for weddings, corporate, schools, and basically anything that requires entertainment.
And I remember contacting him, and I went to meet him where he lived in Richmond, and I hit it off with him right away. We both he has an amazing sense of humor, really funny, and so our humors clicked right away. And I remember asking him for how much I would want per night, and back in those days, what I was asking for, it kind of gave him a, you know. But I knew I'd now been doing DJing for 2 or 3 years, and I knew I was relatively popular as a DJ out there, and I've been doing my game show at a few clubs at the time, so I was already getting a reputation. Dr. Strange was getting a reputation and kind of known in the club scene and stuff. So I thought that I, you know, could ask for what I was asking for my pay.
As a DJ, Steve was phenomenal. He was a people person and still is. He was on time. He came with his A game every time you needed somebody to work a room, to read a crowd. He was the guy.
Dr. Strange, you know, filled with very boisterous, lively personality.
The sleight of hand stuff, everything.
Everything was always fun. Anytime you're with him, you see him, whether he's DJing or whether he is in his own natural habitat. He's always, you know, bigger than life. He's just a blast to see and be around.
He's a showman, and it's infectious. Watching this guy work it's his element. When he's on the stage, he commands it.
Then, for some reason or another, the club management decided they didn't want to spend the money on comedy nights anymore. So Sunday night just suddenly went from this great comedy night, lots of people in the room, to maybe 5 or 10 people coming in for a drink or something on a Sunday night, and I'm sitting there playing the tunes, and yeah, to me, of course, that was boring. You know, I mean, I still had people in the audience, I still tried to do stuff with them, so I wanted to do more with them, and this was literally the beginning of my game career.
Water's coming down, falling all around me, washing me under. I've been out here so long, and it's been going on now, as long as I remember. Oh, and inside this night is dragging on for so